Good morning, welcome back to Little Acre Farm. Today I decided that I would still make my effort to come out here and give you guys a little tour of our farm and talk about some bean related items that I'm very excited to share with you in just a second. But I did also decide that I would not be doing any walking around and I'm just going to sit down instead. I'll take a walk in a little bit. So what I wanted to share with you today is from my Instagram. I run a little Instagram for our farm too. It's not super active, but there's a link in the description if you're interested in checking it out. I recently put up this picture of our bean harvest that we pulled on Saturday, and I got the question, or I guess the comment, wow, I never get so many beans. So I shared what we do to increase our bean harvest, and I'm going to share that with you today as well. So I talked about this very briefly last year in a couple of videos about what we add to our soil to kind of amend it, but specific to the beans, what we add, and that is inoculants. So I use these inoculants from Johnny's Seeds. There are tons and tons of varieties. You can get them at lots of like garden stores or online places. I'm not sure if Baker Creek sells them, but we like to get ours from Johnny's. They're not an affiliate, but I'll put a link to the specific ones that I use down in the description as well. But yeah, they're super helpful. So I'm going to take you through not just the way that inoculants work, but also how we plant our beans to make sure that they actually grow, to make sure that the beans like actually grow and can use the inoculants that we apply to them. So how do inoculants work? So an inoculant is an organic culture, basically, of bacteria, in this case Rhizobia, that when applied to beans or whatever plant it's intended for, because there are different cultures of different bacterias that you would use for a variety of plants, the Rhizobia in the inoculants is going to form a symbiotic relationship with whatever plant you're growing, in this case beans. So the Rhizobia colonizes the plant, it infects the plant in the roots. In this case, it'll form little nodules on the root system of the plants, which I actually have a video on last year. When we planted our beans, I pulled one up after they all got wiped out from a frost, just to show that the inoculants did work. When you have those little nodules on the roots, that's how you can tell that the symbiotic relationship has started or has worked. The way that the relationship works between the plants and the bacteria is that the beans will feed the bacteria carbon via its photosynthesis process. It'll give that carbon to the bacteria. In return, the bacteria will fix atmospheric nitrogen into a form that the plant can consume. So beans are heavy nitrogen feeders. Other plants are as well. Corn is a big one. I don't know if there are corn-specific inoculants because I've never grown corn. But as the plants grow and produce their beans or whatever it is growing, it will use this nitrogen to produce more, be a more effective producer. You'll get more food. And then that's not even like the end of it. The coolest part, in my opinion, is that at the end of the season, when these beans are done producing and they're dead, we will snip them at the soil line, and the roots that we leave in the ground will be nitrogen fixers as well. So they will replenish the nitrogen in the soil so that we can plant tomatoes here next year, for example. Currently we have our tomatoes in the back bed. They were here some of them were here last year. We also had peppers here too. But our beds just need that kind of natural amendment. There are other ways to add nitrogen back to your soil. Blood meal is a good way. Now, some notes on inoculants that I do want to share with you. They are considered to be, an organic add-in. It is part of organic gardening, at least the varieties that I buy. But they are still, they're still like a harsh thing. You do need to exercise caution when using them. I don't let Alex help with this part when we're gardening, the part being adding them into the soil. just because they're not just like safe to just like be touching and things like that. And he's 4, so he touches everything. Just follow the, instructions and the warning labels on the plant. Just as a reminder, like, plenty of things are organic that you shouldn't be consuming, like cyanide or ricin or things like that. Organic doesn't always mean good. So just follow the warnings, be safe, be careful, and you'll be totally fine. It is possible that your soil has the correct culture of Rhizobia in it to grow whatever variety of bean or plant or whatever that you're growing. So you don't need to use inoculants. We, in our first batch of beans that we did 2 years ago, I think, or a year ago, we didn't use inoculants. I didn't even know what they were. And we got plenty of beans out of that. So we had Rhizobia in our soil, and that's totally fine. We just use them now because it helps our soil be nitrogen ready for the next plants that we're planting in the garden the following year, and it helps our beans be strong producers, which is great because this family goes through a lot of beans. All right, so that's how inoculants work in a roundabout way. Hopefully all of that made sense, but if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. And now I'm going to talk about how we plant them. As I should say, when you're using inoculants, there's a couple of different ways that you can apply them to the beans or the soil. We use, and is recommended by Johnny's for the brand that we get, we just put the inoculants like on the seed and then plant the seeds. And this is done by putting the culture into a little water. I just have like a mason jar in my garage that I know is only for inoculants. So we mix the inoculants in the water to make kind of this like slurry basically. And then we put the beans in there, the bean seeds, and I let them soak for a little bit. I don't soak my beans at all, like in just water for a long time. Just like 10 minutes, the time that it takes me to like clean up and put stuff away basically. So we'll put the beans in there, and then with a slotted spoon, I will take them out 2 by 2 or 3 by 3 or whatever, and plant them in the holes. So that is how we apply the inoculants. You can also make the slurry and then put that into the soil, like just make the slurry and pour it into the soil basically and till it in. I don't know if it's more effective to do that or less effective or what. That's just not how we do it. You can do whatever you want. I think that Johnny's includes instructions for both methods. So that's how we apply it. Now for the actual planting, we will, get the soil ready, get the little area that everything's gonna go in ready. And then, like I said, we don't soak our beans. So most beans, okra, not that okra is a bean, but seeds like that will say that you need to soak the seeds overnight or for 12 hours or whatever. We don't do that here. I'm sure that that's very effective in areas that are really dry, like maybe Colorado or Utah or something like that, where you need to give the seeds that extra water, that extra like leg up in germination or something like that. We soaked our okra 1 year and we soaked our beans 1 year, and the germination rate was worse. So we just don't do that anymore. Instead, we soak the ground. So we've kind of been through trial and error with this. The last time that we did inoculants, we applied the inoculants and then we planted the seeds, and then we watered them in really well because beans are a very thirsty seed. They need a lot of water. I think that made the inoculants not actually adhere to the seed and cause them to not produce as well, or to not grow as well, I should say. And then that plant, or those plants, that crop, got wiped out by a frost anyway. So when I pulled them up, they didn't have the nodules on the roots that told me that the bacteria had colonized the plants. So that is my suspicion. This year, what we did is we got the soil ready, and then we got like all little holes ready for the beans. We do the square foot gardening method. So we do 9 seed holes per square foot. This actually is about half of what we had intended to grow this year. We lost some of our beans to a frost, and then I just got really lazy and didn't replant them. But I'm kind of glad, because if I had to harvest like 6 pounds of beans last Saturday. I think I would have passed out in my yard. Anyway, so we do 9 plants per square foot. This is probably, I don't know, it's 4 by 7 maybe plot of that, minus the ones that, you know, didn't make it through that late frost. So we get the soil ready and then we soak it, like completely soak the soil. We do this ahead of planting the beans because we don't want the inoculants to get washed off. When the soil is soaking wet, then we'll like get the holes ready. We'll put the beans in the holes, 2 or 3 per hole, depending on the variety. These are both heirloom bush beans. So I had so many this year. I think I did 2 per hole. So then once the seeds are in, we'll cover them up and then we'll give it like a day or 2 before we water them again. So the inoculants have a chance to really adhere to the seed, get into the soil, do what they got to do before we water them again. So we also try to time this around like the rain. So if it's going to rain, we just don't plant our beans that night or that day or whatever, because we want to make sure that they have time, the inoculants have time to actually colonize the plants. And then of course it's just planting as normal. We water them usually every other day at the beginning. Now we're doing every roughly 3 days for these. I really want to automate our watering system as soon as humanly possible. Watering takes up so much of our time, and it's exhausting. It's like an entire hour and a half if we want to do it like the most efficient and the best way for, you know, not like watering from the top down. So if anybody has tips on automatic watering, please leave them in the comments. I have no idea what we're doing. And it is like the next huge project on my list to figure out because it would just save us like an absurd amount of time. I really hope this video made sense. I'm still kind of out of it and I never like script my videos, which is probably not a good idea. Anyway, TLDR, inoculants are really great for your garden. They're totally not necessary. I hope that you never feel like I'm pressuring you to do something or do things my way or the right way. There's no right way in gardening. Just do what you do to grow what you want to grow, and that's fine. You're feeding your family, you're growing food, it's all good. That being said, I think I might leave a written description of inoculants in the description just in case. If you do have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I'm happy to clarify and help out because I know when I'm sick, I can tend to ramble. Well, I don't even need to be sick to ramble. It can really just be anytime. Thanks for stopping by Little Acre Farm and for subscribing. I'll see you soon. Bye.